Donald Trump isn't giving any hints about what he'll say when he gives a speech on illegal immigration later this week. He's billing Wednesday's event as a major speech. It comes as Trump's suggested over the past 2 weeks that he could go in a number of different directions. His campaign denied reports last week that it was considering a softer approach to handling undocumented immigrants until Trump himself said he was open to softening his stance. But just days after that, he said he was actually hardening his original positions. So what might we expect on Wednesday? John Dickerson is our CBS News political director and moderator of Face the Nation. He's in Washington. All right, John, so we have seen Donald Trump go back and forth in the past week. What are the risks he faces by moving in either of those directions?
Well, he's trying to do two things at once, and there's a bit of a muddle. On the one hand, what he's trying to do is reach out to nervous Republican voters who are on the sidelines who think he's too risky. On the other hand, he doesn't want to lose those core supporters of his who love his blunt approach to various issues, and no issue more than immigration. So what he's trying to do is say that it's much the same as when he said he wasn't going to pivot, and then several days later engaged in what was a textbook strategic pivot to a kind of softer tone in his remarks. So what he's trying to do is basically be vague about what he's going to do about the 11 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. But during the primaries, he said they would be removed from the United States after he was president so fast it would make your head spin. That's his quote. So now he's trying to basically fuzzy things up, and the challenge for him is, does he cause suspicion among his true supporters who are very skeptical of Republican lawmakers who they believe have sold them out in the past? Does he give reason for concern to those voters and yet not do anything big enough to get those nervous Republicans who are still on the sidelines?
So, John, on that point, would a softer approach then really be aimed at Latino voters, a group that Clinton leads by about 46 points, or is this about something else?
This is largely about something else. This is about changing the tone of the Trump candidacy, showing that he is taking this serious issue and giving a policy speech, which, by the way, is itself a kind of normalizing act for a Trump campaign that has been much more improvisational and where he's been kind of all over the place. And so every time he gives a policy speech, it looks more like a traditional campaign. They're trying to make it look more like a traditional campaign. And by sending signals that he's contemplating, perhaps reconsidering, it undoes a little bit, or seeks to anyway, that image of Donald Trump as an impulsive person who never changes his first instinct. And so that's what the theater of this is all about. Whether it can actually achieve any of that is unclear.
Right. So we are almost in September here. The positions Trump may try to adjust are ones that he's held since the day he launched his campaign. What are those challenges to trying to change perceptions this late?
The single biggest challenge is whether people can see Donald Trump as sitting in the office of the presidency and that he has the temperament and judgment to handle the job. And that's why this reconsideration, or something framed a little bit as a reconsideration, goes to that question, which is it suggests that he is able to rethink what was his signature proposal, which was this building the wall and then removing the 11 million undocumented workers. If this is pitched as a kind of a rethinking of that, at least in a little bit, then that goes to that question of whether he can, in fact, change some of his views and therefore is open to advice. And as president, that's the kind of thing, obviously, any president needs. This is a long-term pitch that the campaign has to make, basically from now until the election is over, because this is the signature problem, or I should say the single biggest problem that Donald Trump faces.
Hillary Clinton, meantime, is expected to focus on the issue of mental health this week and hasn't signaled plans to directly rebut Trump's immigration speech. What do you make of the way that Hillary Clinton has handled some of this back and forth by Donald Trump?
Well, the goal on the Clinton campaign is to make sure that Donald Trump can't pivot, that people are reminded of all of his qualities, that he can't remake himself in the general election from the candidate he was in the primaries. And so she will continue to try and do that in ways big and small. Last week, she gave a speech about the alt-right and Trump's ties to the most extreme part of the country. And she also has television ads that are replaying some of his greatest hits in terms of remarks he's made that people have found objectionable as a way of reminding people of that part of his past. And then she'll basically continue to try to make her case to her constituencies on a variety of policy issues. She can't spend all of her time on Donald Trump, but she also, the campaign is also quite aware of the fact that he is trying to make this pivot and they don't want it to happen.
All right, John Dickerson for us. John, thank you.
Thanks, Elaine.